hailed both conferences as a success and say that it was a positive trajectory towards the realization of unity within the party. Well, to help us dissect the outcomes, we're now joined from our Pretoria studios by analyst Professor Lesiba Tefo. Thank you very much for joining us, Prof. Let's start actually with the Northwest. We'll deal with Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal now, but having parallel conferences in Taung and Christiana, this unity project seems to be struggling quite a bit in that particular part of the country.
Certainly, it is floundering. Even where there have been some success, one cannot say with absolute certainty that there aren't some members and plots that would want to derail the New Dawn as a project. I would want to believe that until there is commitment and a dedicated team just moving from one space to another to make people appreciate they belong to one family, whatever the difference is, if they can be contained from within, all the better for them, because they might suffer serious electoral loss if they continue in this fashion.
All right, let's take a look at Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Before we look at the provinces individually, overall, what did the results tell us about the state of the party and its unity project in these two very influential provinces?
Look, to some extent, one should concede that it augurs well going forward, if it could be sustained. But my call is for a dedicated team to try to consolidate the apparent gains that are emerging and concentrate more on those who are disgruntled, and rightly so. Deal with those issues. The problem with the ruling party is that it never deals with issues frontally and pronto. Because some of the things that people complain about, you would recall there was issues with gatekeeping in 2014. Dr. Nkosazana Zuma was charged with looking into that and dealing with the matter. It took more than a year. The report was there, it was never acted upon. So people don't even have faith in the processes of their own organization. Hence they resort to costs and other extraneous avenues that may at least deal with their concerns. Yes, it is good especially for the Ramaphosa faction. And let me just say, it is good for the president of the ANC. All because right. The more we talk about the factions, the more we bedevil the situation as well. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you don't want to talk about the factions, but it does seem that this is almost an extension of what happened at Nasrec, where people who were seen to be aligned with either former President Jacob Zuma or President Ramaphosa seem to have been the ones that have been chosen along those lines.
Yes, that's the point. So you may want to say, in a way of motivating and encouraging them to follow this route, that unfortunately those excluded feel that is because they backed a wrong horse. And in the nature of the agency's operations, if you have been watching it for some time, those ones will go back to the trenches and try to regroup. And right now, I would say the winning province, right, that has regrouped and is under ascendancy is KwaZulu-Natal. For all purposes intents, it lost. But for some reason, they are regrouping, and with the Godfather guiding them, they are winning, and they are almost dictating the terms. What does it say to those who have worked hard to ensure that, at least on merit, others got where they got, and the provinces should at least perform and impact and influence the direction of the party based on the will of the people? It can be said that KwaZulu-Natal deserves what it is doing right now based on the will of those who are at Nasrec in 2017 December.
All right, let's talk about KwaZulu-Natal. It seems of the 35 PEC members, 20 have served in various youth league structures. It seems almost as if a new guard is coming through, which is much younger.
Which is good for the organization. Certainly, it is good for them. You know, about 3-4 years ago, they spoke about the generational mix, okay? And we haven't seen much of it. But if they were to proceed and continue on this trajectory, they might stem the ascendancy of the EFF. It is a young party led by a youth leadership that is keen to learn, to study, and that also is a big plus. Because if the new leadership of the ANC may be found to be wanting in terms of scholarship and the ability to engage issues and sustain cognitively rational and sound arguments rather than to throw slogans, threaten and intimidate, then it will still come to naught. Education, education, education. That's what makes the EFF enjoy the respect it has. You may not always agree with them, but certainly they have got a youthful leadership that is learned and that seems to put a high premium on education.
Okay, Professor Tefo, we're going to have to leave it there. It's a subject that we can talk about quite a bit, but certainly it does seem that things are developing for the party. Just how far they'll go, we'll be tracking in the coming days and months. Thank you very much indeed for your insights this evening.